Hello, and welcome to Fearful Wickedness. We hope you enjoy tonight's tale. Beth and Max had always been the adventurous type. They loved new experiences, and when they saw the flyers for the traveling circus, they couldn't resist. The bright, colorful posters promised a show like no other, because this was no ordinary circus. This was the Circus of Fear, an experience hell-bent on scaring the life right out of you. Complete with a freak show, fire breathers who would actually set themselves on fire, serpent performers, and the notorious clown duo, Slice and Dice, who were rumored to be legends of terror. Being horror fans, they laughed it off. It was just a circus, after all. How scary could it be? That night, as they approached the venue, the sounds of distorted carnival music echoed from behind the red and white striped tents. The air felt heavy, as if the night was pressing down on them. It wasn't the typical Comic-Con, horror fest atmosphere they expected. Instead, a strange, uneasy feeling settled over them. "Hey, I'm all in for a good scare, but maybe we should just go home," Max said, half-heartedly glancing back at their car. He wasn't one to back out of an adventure, but something about this circus didn't sit right with him. Beth took his hand. "It's just all made up. Don't get paranoid. Let's have some fun." They entered the main tent, and immediately, they were hit with a pungent mix of popcorn, grease, and something metallic that made their stomachs churn. The crowd was sparse, too sparse for a show this popular. The dim lights flickered overhead as they made their way to a pair of seats near the center ring. The show began without fanfare. The performers, jugglers, acrobats, and the ringmaster moved with eerie precision, their smiles too wide, their eyes too vacant. The crowd was oddly silent, as if the audience was hypnotized by the performance. Then, the music stopped. The crowd went still. Two clowns, unlike any other they had ever seen, stepped into the ring. Their faces were painted in garish reds, yellows, and blacks, but their eyes were hollow, cold. One of them had the word, "Slice," on the back of his costume. His grin stretched unnaturally across his face, revealing rows of sharp, yellowed teeth. The other one, whose costume read, "Dice," held a balloon in one hand, but there was something off about it. Instead of the usual cheerful shape of an animal, the balloon was shaped like a twisted, contorted face, grinning like the clown himself. Beth leaned closer to Max, whispering, "I don't like this." "We need to go," said Max as he stood up. But that only caused the clown's eyes to lock onto them. Dice tilted his head, a grotesque mockery of curiosity, and Slice took a step toward them. The lights flickered again, and in the brief darkness, the clowns vanished. A cold chill swept over Beth's skin as she grabbed Max's arm. They pushed their way through the crowd, but the exits were no longer visible. The tent was closing in on them, the walls shifting like living flesh. Then, they heard it, the unmistakable squeak of a children's bicycle horn. Beth turned to find Slice the clown standing directly behind them, his long fingers curled around the edge of a giant, rusted knife. As she and Max turned to run, Dice stepped out of the shadows. The balloon was gone, replaced by a blood-stained rag, which he flung to the side with a sickening laugh. "Attempting to escape is part of the act," the clown said, his voice raspy and hoarse, like he had not spoken in years. Max backed away, pulling Beth with him as she screamed for help, but there was no one there. No one to hear her cries, only shadows. Slice the clown stepped forward, his grin widening as he raised the knife. Max pushed Beth toward the nearest tent flap. "Run!" he shouted. They bolted, weaving through the maze of flashing lights and electrical wires. But the clowns were always one step ahead, their laughter echoing through the night like a twisted melody. They reached the edge of the grounds, only to find the gates were locked, sealed shut as though they had never been open at all. The sound of approaching footsteps. "Enjoy the show?" Dice the clown asked, his voice chillingly close. "We're looking to add a few new parts to our performance." "Yeah, as in body parts," said Slice. "And we're holding autopsies right now." Then, darkness.